Okay, I think it's about that time that I'm going to be really talking about reincarnation and my visions as to who I used to be. And now, there's going to be some visions in which I've included some conversations with my, well, spirits, not necessarily my spirits, just spirits I've encountered. And it was actually from some fallen angels, of which was pretty fascinating. And what they told me I used to be, that was pretty. Now, I'll mention it, but this ain't exactly to fucking stroke on my ego, okay? So told me I used to be they told me I used to be an angel like them. And they told me that I fucking, well, pretty much went through the same shit they did. And what's funny is that there was also another life in which I was born in the very bloodline of which they said I made. And it was actually from a jinn. And my mother was a priestess of Bastet. And like for some reason, whenever it came to me and the goddess Bastet, whenever it came to our convenings, it was quite intimate, and for some reason, it was just super familiar. So I won't. I, they told me what my name was whenever I used to be an angel, and which, if you saw fucking Lord of the Rings, that what was that lady's name? Galadriel. That was pretty much the name in which they said I used to have. But that was a little bit interesting. Hold up. Uh, but the thing is that whenever it came to me and whenever it came to my other mother, in which honestly, this really fucking hit hard for me whenever it came to the mother I used to have, who was the priestess. It did cause some emotional shit. It really did. Whenever I was enveloped in my vision, and what's fucked up is that during that time I wasn't a good person. I was far from a good person, and I I was born in a country of which was known for its slaves. It was actually far from Egypt. It was past the Nile over a valley on the opposite side of the valley, and I don't know what the fuck the name of the town was called. I didn't exactly stay within that. Hold on. I must have wrote it down. Fuck. Asteria or something? Not Hysteria, Asteria. Asteria. That was the name of the town that was on the opposite side of the valley that was known for its slaves. And I was a slave owner. And no, I'm not saying I fucking own slaves to them motherfuckers. But I remembered that whenever it came to a drought, there was a drought, and I didn't. I pretty much kept everything for myself. Whenever it came to droughts, I pretty much said fuck everybody else and just kept myself all fucking happy. And and yes, I'm going back into my notes of which I wrote down because whenever it comes to visions or anything of these particular sorts, go ahead and write them down. You'll be surprised as the connections of which you'll start making. And you'll be surprised that whenever you start doing your studies into history itself, there's going to be some eerie fucking comparisons in which you'll be making. So I'm not sure if this is a reincarnation or if it's just through my bloodline I'm remembering this. Now, this I'm trying to recollect, but whenever it came to the spirits of whom I involved, they said this was my reincarnation. So that's what I decided to name it. I used to be a lady in Vlad's court, and what's for some reason I had a vision that whenever it came to Vlad's court, his court had a lot of interactions with extraterrestrials. And I know this is, hey, just treat it like it's a good story then, fuck it. Treat it like it's a good fairy tale to tell. But I was moved. I was actually taken by the extraterrestrials and moved to a different town because I was pregnant. Now I was maiden, of course, and well, I didn't have a dick back then. I used to have a dick at various points. But don't worry now, I got a dick. But we got that, and I was a younger brother of a Duke of Bismarck, and which I'm gonna have to look him up again because I didn't write down his fucking name, of which I had in my vision, in which I think it actually matched up with his name, in which I'm gonna have to look into it, but I remember I used to fucking give advice to my brother because he didn't know how to lead shit whenever it came to country. And he pretty much leaned on me to be his brains while he was the brawn and, appeared the strongest. So I was pretty much the hand behind the throne type shit with that fucking segment. Is there anything else I did? Stereo. I remembered writing it. Hold up. I'll go ahead and pause this real quick. Okay, I'm just writing down what I'm just going to be saying what comes back to mind. I remember I used to be a priestess to Ra back then. Now, I don't know if I was a pharaoh's wife at some point. I didn't have a vision of that, so I can't verify. So I did remember I used to be that. I used to be a priestess. I've noticed back then in Egypt, this is what I recall. For some reason, they would have the males devoted to female deities. They would have the females devoted to male deities. Because whenever it came to sex and everything, sex magic was pretty fucking prevalent in Egypt, I have to say. And fucking going through their fucking history books, it wasn't fucking wrong. Uh, what the fuck? Hold up. Oh, I could mention that I used to be in the Inquisition one time. That was in a vision of which there was two ladies with me, of whom were close friends of mine, and we were actually fleeing. We were running. My ass was fucking caught. They weren't. They managed to flee. I was caught, and I remember that sarcophagus fucking thing that had spikes within it, of which whenever it closed, it would impale you. So that was pretty much how I fucking died. So that was whenever I encountered that, I was dealing with some fucking hatred for Christianity for a little bit whenever I was going through that. I've noticed whenever you go through past lives and visions of those and you feel them, trust me, you feel the emotional fucking weight of it. And for a little bit, there was a time in which I just fucking. There was this. They call it a witch wound. Whenever witches are like killed by anybody or fucking. Honestly, witch wound, shaman wound, fucking Christian wound, whatever the fuck. It's like they can call it whatever the fuck they do. But that was pretty much what I was facing at that time. And that wasn't a pretty sight. Now go ahead and start including dreams now. Now those were visions. Now these are dreams of which I used to have, of which were off planet Earth. Fucking yeah. That's gonna be magical. And what the fucking news and everything that's saying fucking extraterrestrials came here. Honestly, I'm not sensing it's them. I'm really not. I'm not sensing it's them. I think it's bullshit. So you you can believe the narrative which is being told, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling that it's fucking extraterrestrials, folks, that are, attacking us and shit. Not now. In fact, they're already here. I just don't think that's them. But other than that, I'll go ahead and mention a time in which I was on a planet and there was an asteroid, of which was fucking close up to the planet, and it was pretty much our moon, and it was like it looked like it was about to fucking crash into the planet, but that just orbits around it. And what other things? I remember there were times in which I had a dream in which I fucking went into and entered into a different dimension, and it was static, almost like television. At which, whenever it transforms, whenever you go to a different dimension, for some reason, this is what I got: static, and then it reshapes into a different picture. And I remember seeing a whirlpool in which it was pretty much the same thing in which I'll go ahead and make an analogy. Whenever you drop a pebble into the sea and then there's, a gaping hole within it before it shoots back up and then the waves come outwards. Well, that's the thing is that that's what it represented. The whirlpool was where the original pebble dropped and everything was actually not going outwards, coming into it. Go ahead and include one segment. And no, this wasn't from a vision nor a dream. but more so coincidences in which I've noticed whenever it came to my life, and also another particular figure from history, in which you might be surprised by this. Good old Alister Crowley. Yeah, that guy. So the funny part was this, is that whenever it came to our childhoods, it was very similar. We had morbid curiosities. My ass, I would fucking just tear legs off fucking insects as to whatever I got my fucking hands on and be fucking curious as to what happened. That was pretty much it, even though that's definitely something which I know more than me would do. I know others would do that shit too. Others did that shit too whenever they were younger, in which, thank God, I'm not the only fucking one. And me and him did have a fascination with chess. And no, I wasn't in fucking competitions. He was, but I got into it. Think about whenever I was like 16, and now during his time, I think he got around to it a little bit, maybe a tiny bit younger, maybe around the same time. Honestly, 16, 15, maybe around that time, he probably fucked with it. Is whenever it came to his natal chart and my natal chart, it's pretty fascinating how we have some pretty fascinating similarities to that too. He was born under Libra. I was born under Libra. And his sun was rising Leo. My sun is rising Leo. Now, our moons are different. His is Pisces. Mine is Virgo. That's definitely one thing to note. And whenever it came to a, attraction of ladies, we actually tend to attract the same ladies. He was able to attract, fucking Leo ladies, those expressive. Yeah. And just as I'm able to. So that's pretty good to note. I came to some fucking similarities. In fact, there were some verses in the Bible that he had fascinations with, which I had fascinations with. And now, the one thing I will do note about reincarnations is this, is that there will be more than one person that says that they had that reincarnation. For instance, there's more than one motherfucker that says they've had that reincarnation as Alistair Crowley. Um, and honestly, there's been theory developing around that whenever it comes to a previous life that's lived, that it doesn't just reverberate into one other life, it reverberates into many other lives. And I honestly don't know how that works, but the theory behind that, I could look up a little bit further or leave it to others fucking figure that out. And who knows, maybe it could be published in some material of which I could read in a future book. Uh, let's just see how the fuck that we get this going.